All right, so what is this thing called the flipped classroom? Let's take a look here. Basically, what it means is to do your lecture at home via video lessons, and then the students have time in class to do their homework or activity, lab, whatever. And so basically, in essence, what you're doing is you're flipping the classroom around to lecture at home, homework at school. And so nothing terribly revolutionary. You're not really changing a whole lot other than putting what you normally do for a lecture into video form. And so what it looks like is this. You have the traditional classroom where students are sitting there listening to the teacher lecture, and their homework is to do questions or readings or whatever at home. The flipped classroom basically looks like this: is activity today, watch your lecture at home tonight. And students are collaborating, creating, and the teacher is more of the guide on the side. And so just the difference here between the two classrooms is a pretty good picture to show that. Now there's a high school, Clintondale High School, which is a totally flipped high school, and so this is kind of their page on what they've done. And so what they did is they basically created those 5 to 7 minute videos for students to watch at home, or the students watch them if they didn't have internet access. We'll talk about that in the classroom. And the class time was spent doing labs. Students receive that instant feedback in class as they're doing their homework or they're doing their questions. They can ask questions right away while they're doing their work and learn that way. They claim that students didn't get as frustrated as before, and teachers are able then to revisit some of those concepts that students don't understand. They can do that in class. And so kind of a way to differentiate, a way to revisit things, accelerate as well. And the teachers are just supporting those students in class. Now the reason for the flipped classroom kind of goes, let's go back, is basically students that are absent, students learn at different paces. Some students are out for the band lesson, or they're out for choir, or they're out for the class field trip, something along that line. Sometimes parents struggle teaching certain concepts as well, and so the video there will allow that parent to watch the video and maybe learn along with the student as well. And a lot of times maybe you run out of activity or time for those learning activities because of the lecture took so long, things like that. Or you just get sick of lecturing to your students. And so creating these flipped classroom videos will allow for more time in class. It'll also allow students to watch, rewatch, and allow for parents to watch, things like that. Now, some of the questions over this concept is basically this. A kid doesn't want to hear my lecture in class. What makes the same kid want to watch it on his or her own time on video? And it's a valid argument, valid question. Can you make it engaging through the way you're presenting? Can you make jokes, make it funny, animated? Do they have to watch it at home or at all? What if they understand that concept? They can do the questions without watching your video, and so they're accelerating. You can move them on. And do you have to do it for every lesson? That's a good question as well. And so making the video will actually focus you as a teacher to teach what's essential, because you want to keep those videos short, succinct, to the point. And so what you'll do is you'll focus on teaching what is essential. Not all my students have internet. Another big question that a lot of educators have. You can burn these to a CD or DVD for students to watch. You can put them on a USB drive as a file. Send those home. You don't need internet then. You can also make sure that these videos are viewable on mobile devices as well. A lot of students have their cell phones with 3G or 4G or Wi-Fi enabled, and they can watch them wherever on their cell phone. And so just make sure they're viewable on mobile devices as accessible as possible. And so possible to put on a CD or DVD, and also possible to put on a USB stick, have them for checkout. Here's chapter 1, here's chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and so on a USB drive with assignments, things like that can also be on there. So something to keep in mind. Warning though, it is a change in the way you run your classroom, in the fact that during your lecture, you're not going to have that time for question and answer and reflection, and so sometimes those things need to be built into your videos. You're also going to have, we'll talk about this in a second, you're not going to have students that are going to watch the video, so what do you do with them? And so we'll talk about that in a second. But it's not a replacement for teaching. You're not just going to, here's your video, and sit back and relax. It's not used, if we use a model as just a substitute for what we're doing. It should be transformational in your classroom. And students should recognize that as transformational. Some students will resist, and I will tell you right now that the original time investment in this is large. There's a lot of time that goes into creating these videos. There's a lot of time that goes into setting up the model for your classroom and finding something that works. And so just know that that original time investment is large. So what's the benefit of doing this? Basically, it saves that in-class time for doing in-class work, worksheets, questions, labs, activities. You can do some of those fun things in class while you're there, guided with you. The video is nice because you can hit pause, you can rewatch, you can think, stop and think. A lot of times in class, if you're teaching a concept, ooh, I didn't get that. I think a kid says I didn't get that, or it passed by so fast. And so what you're doing is the student, you can have that concept, boom, student can hit pause. I just need time to process that information in my head, hit play, and go forward. It's also differentiation. It's not going to be for everybody watching those videos, and so keep that in mind as well as we go through here. But it allows you to, in class, if that student likes to do those practice problem worksheets, give it to them. Let them do it. But what about that student that likes to create something? Okay, they now have time to do that, and it allows you to differentiate in your classroom a little bit easier. Now, what if you're not ready to fully flip your classroom, but you like the concept, or you want to give it a try? What can you do? My advice is to start small. Start with a couple lessons, experiment, and just find something that works for you. If uploading them to YouTube doesn't work, let's find something else. If just recording PowerPoints doesn't work, let's find something else. If your students don't like it, let's try to find something else. Okay? But start small and really just try it. See how it goes. It is a change in your classroom. Some students will resist it. Some students just will not watch the video, plain and simple. And some students will finish their work at different times. And so what you have is you're going to have students that are going to finish that work. Okay, they've mastered that concept, and now they can move on. So being a couple lessons ahead in your videos will benefit as well. But you're also going to have that student that needs that extra time to work on whatever it is to master that concept, and they can now have that time too. And really, if you're watching, one student's watching a video, another student's working, don't know which video we're on or what lesson we're on, and so it's differentiating without students really knowing you're differentiating. So some words of wisdom here real quick. The video and the technology are important pieces, but they should not be the focus. What the focus should be is that interaction with the students in the classroom, not the creation of the video. The creation of the video is very important. But the focus should be on how you interact with those students in the classroom environment. What are you doing in the classroom now that you've taken the lecture out of the classroom to make it more engaging? And so, just like I said, it's the interaction in the classroom that should be the focus. And so keep that in mind as you go forward, and good luck.